Real pleasure to welcome in the very first Riddler Award winner in 1964, Al Bergler, and he's also the driver and owner of this beautiful dragster here. Tell us about the car, Al.
The car is an Austin Bantam body on a Logie frame that I built in 1963, and I won the first Riddler Award with it at Autorama in Detroit.
Now, at the time that you won the award in 1964 was the very first time it was given out. Did you realize how prestigious an award it was?
No, Don Riddler was the promoter for Autorama, NHRA's Autorama in Detroit, and he promoted basketball games and soccer games and stuff like that. So when the Hot Rod Association in Michigan started putting on their car shows, they needed a professional promoter, and they hired him to do it. So when he passed away, they decided to have a reward every year to honor his name. So, and I won the first one in '64.
Well, that's a great honor because the Riddler Award has become the most prestigious award for the top custom car in the world. And Al, that's just fantastic.
Well, what's really neat about it is I've won all kinds of races in my life, and Top Fuel and all this kind of stuff. But the Riddler Award seems to never go away. I mean, from 1964, people still remember me because I won the first one. Nobody knows who won the second one.
That's a very good point. Now, back to the car itself. Tell us how you've been able to upkeep it so nicely over the years.
Well, this car, I restored. I found parts of this car to restore it. I had to make some stuff brand new, but there's probably 60% of it's the original car. And then after I finished the car, 3 years ago, I found the original back body, the Bantam body in New York, and I went and got that. But it was so far gone, I wouldn't have been able to use it anyways.
But you have it, at least.
I have it. And the guy that had it knew I wanted it.
Well, not
what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I do, because these cars are definitely coveted. Now, tell us a little bit about what it's like to drive a drag car with the engine in front of you rather than behind you.
I tell everybody asks what it's like, and I tell them when you go to an amusement park, you take a roller coaster and you go on and it scares the heck out of you, and you can't wait to do it again. So it's kind of like an amusement ride. It really is.
And you can tell a true drag racer because they're wearing a gas mask, right?
That's right.
Now, tell us a little bit about your racing career.
Well, I started racing in the 50s, just street racing, and I started drag racing, and I started with competition coupes, and I ran those for 3 or 4 years. 1970, I ran a gas dragster. In 71, we started running funny cars called the Motown Shaker for about 15 years. Then in 82, I retired from drag racing, and I started doing a lot of street rod work and stuff. And then all of a sudden, there's a big interest in people restoring original drag racing cars. So I did a couple for a couple other people, and I said, if I'm going to do one, I want to do the Riddler car, and I started looking for this and found parts and put it together.
Well, that's wonderful, Al, that you're keeping this alive. It's a wonderful sport, a wonderful hobby. Once again, Al Bergler, the winner of the very first Riddler Award in 1964. Al, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. This is Al Bergler at the California Hot Rod Reunion, and you're watching HubGarage.com.